Bro, we really about to sit up here and act like everything's fine? Like she ain't fuck up our whole childhood?
Ain't that what black families do?
The past is the past, Trick. You can't keep blaming me for everything.
You had kids with no intention of raising them. That's why you got 3 boys here pretending to be men.
I ain't pretending shit.
Boy.
I know who the fuck I am.
Look, I did the best I could.
Ain't we all still standing?
Right. Plus, you ain't perfect either.
Bro, I had to raise myself and you because she was too sick to do it. It's no wonder I got a savior complex.
Oh, what?
Nothing.
She wasn't the perfect mom. Boy, it's time to get over that shit.
Don't tell me how to grieve.
What you grieving?
The life I could have had.
Boom! Ooh, got your ass.
Right in the heart with a silver bullet.
Yeah. I think they plotting on man. Don't fight their feet when they enter the L.A.R. I feel a cold stare.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. More important, you saw that clip. Just grieving a life you should have had. I'm gonna touch on a bunch of different things, but the stereotype of even that situation where 3 kids, mom's on drugs, mom let them go to the wayside. 2 of the kids like, oh, she back, I love her. Even though all 3 wound up being in the streets because of it, right? It's the, oh, we got mama's love. And it's like, okay, cool. But the one that had to be responsible for everything is not feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, man, y'all and all this lovey-dovey stuff, it doesn't dawn on y'all that, this ain't cool. And the brother who's like, oh, the sarcasm, oh, mama, it was the past, and you got to get over it. Your mama wasn't perfect. It's like that's one issue. You got the other brother where you wasn't perfect. Yeah, okay, that's the other issue. And then when he gets up and he tells the brother like, listen, you don't tell me how to grieve. Then he puts his head down like, okay, I might need to shut up. you know. And the mother with the, it's the past and let the past be the past is the past. But, take care of me now, though. And when he goes off and says, hey, man, I'm grieving a life I could have had. Now, this is something I've seen too much. I've seen people who they become adults and they go, if my parents didn't do this, I wouldn't be in this situation. And then I've seen people who was like, if I would have lived with the other parent, I wouldn't have been in this situation. And then there's an anger that's involved because it's like, I really lost my life. And I've seen kids do this where they go back and forth, from freedom to structure. One parent is freedom, the other is structure. So we get all the freedom in the world, it don't work out. Then they go to the structure and they just can't, and they rebel from the structure and they go back to the freedom and it don't work out. Then they got to go back to the structure and and then they become adults. And it's like, where would I be if I would have been in this situation instead of that one? And then, and and you see it now, like it's a normal thing on social media to watch. Let's just say parental alienation, fathers to get alienated out of children, out of their children's lives. I've I've known people older than me, my same age, younger than me, who have the same issue. I've talked to people who said, man, I'd have had a better life if I lived with my dad. I know it. And then the part of that scene where they didn't want to, they were still, they didn't actually want to go in on their mama. Didn't want to do it. In the stereotype would be if it was their dad, it wouldn't be so lovey-dovey. It'd have been a situation where 3 boys would have been Adam. You get what I'm saying? But the grief that amplifies the grief and the anger is because I really want to get at you, but I'm held by all these social norms that I don't really like right now because they've been used to my detriment. So when people are grieving a life they should have had, they actually know what it would have looked like, and they don't know if they could build it from where they're at. Because what happens is your choices affect the next generation's choices, and some people can navigate it the right way to get themselves to the life that they want, but most people can't. And then most people realize that you weren't a help, you were a hindrance. So now you're looking out in the world and you're like, man, I remember when I tried to apply for this program, I couldn't because of this and I couldn't because of that. And if I would have made it in this program, I saw somebody that got in that program and they became successful. That could have been me. I saw somebody who was disciplined and kept doing this thing and whatever it was that they were doing, and now they're successful. That could have been me. But you didn't care. I saw people do it who were in the same situation that I was in, and I don't know how they did it, but I know if they did it, I could have done it. So that could have been me. And now I'm mad. Super mad. Because I'm seeing people live the life that I could have lived, knowing that I had to make grown chess moves to get there and I was a child. And you as an adult, knowing that this is probably not going to work out well, but you were so selfish, you didn't care. You didn't care how it was going to turn out. So now I got to look at you and blame you because this is the life I have, and that's the life I could have had. And the reasoning behind all of the abandonment and sabotage is normally silly. It's not a real reason. It's not really a real substantial reason. It's just like, I just wanted to do this. I want to do that. Okay. So people looking at it like, man, you threw my life away because you didn't want your life that you created. And now I got to make the best out of my life, which you threw away in my formative stages. And I got to fight for it. And this ain't the life that I could have had. And you see that with some people who, you see people who do the right thing or who become successful. And then the same people that abandon them, and sabotage them are like, hey, man, I knew you was going to always be good. You was always going to make it. You was always, now can you take care of me? And then it becomes an issue because look, I might have had a better life if I wasn't around you. Because I don't understand how you got the audacity to leave me stranded and then ask me to take care of you on the back end. Because when he talked about a savior complex, there's a lot of people, from the hood that have a savior complex. And there's a lot of people who made out that have survivor's remorse. But there's more people who got a savior's complex because there's so many people who got done dirty early on. They tried to protect people and stop people from getting done like them. And truth be told, they took care of everybody else better than they took care of themselves because they didn't want nobody else to be in their position. But then at a certain point you realize I don't want that to be my life though. I'm not saying I need to be selfish and that's self-centered and selfish and just worry about me, 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 me. But self-preservation is the law of the land. So now you're not actually preserving yourself and taking care of yourself because, you know, the cards you were dealt, when you see somebody else with the hand, you try to give them the hand that you didn't have. And now it's at your detriment again. And now you mad because it's like, man, how come ain't nobody doing for me what I've been doing for everybody else? And then you go back to, you know, my life would have been a whole lot better if I didn't get played in this situation. If these weren't the cards I was dealt, and my life would have been better if I didn't spend my time helping everybody else with these busted hands. So now I'm grieving a life that I should have had. And at the end of the day, people gonna tell you, stop being a victim and stop being entitled. And it's like, hey, it's a touchy subject. Don't get kicked in your throat because too many people are dismissive of people like that, but they've never been in those shoes. So they're just talking from a place of passive aggressive arrogance because they've never been there. And when life throws that at them, they usually break down. So I'm gonna just leave it at that, man. Like, share, subscribe. Tell me what y'all think. Catch you on the next one. Peace.